Hello, and welcome to TJ Speaks. I am your host, TJ. And in tonight's show, we are going to be discussing the difference in the language when it comes to, or the mentioning of the new arrival migrants. I wanted to touch on that because the social engineering and the propaganda that's out here in America right now is very, very strong and very, very, very wide. Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, the topic of today's show is something that came across to me, because I don't really listen to the mainstream media news and I don't listen to the propaganda. Mainstream media news is propaganda. Um, their music is propaganda. Their social people on their comedy shows is propaganda. There's a lot of propaganda being pushed onto the American people. And so, what I've done in my personal life is that I turn off of the propaganda shows. I can watch entertaining shows, like The Bachelor or something like that, but I'm not going to listen to the news talking heads, the pundits. So what you're getting here on TJ Speaks is unfiltered, true American response to what's happening in our current events. Okay, so let's talk about the migrants. Now, the one thing I've always heard as an advocate for descendants of for the American descendants of slaves reparations is that you will hear conservative and liberal people say, mostly conservatives say, why don't they stop asking for reparations? And that's a handout. And they need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps because that's what we immigrants did. And for the longest period of time, I used to push back and fight back when it was not popular to push back against that narrative that America had some self sufficient immigrants. And in reality, America has never had self sufficient immigrants. From the very beginning of America, America has used our labor as the descendants of slaves, our grandparents' labor, as the means of and a mechanism for the white wealth that exists in America today. They have financed the white immigrants' travel with our labor, the funds from our labor. They have financed the white businesses launch from the immigrants. America has given, and is well documented, the land in Oklahoma in the West was given to the white immigrants for free. For free. They were allowed to have land for free and to build for free, get free loans from the banks, the whole 9 yards. Okay? So that bull crap that they like to say, pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, after you done stole, America has stole 240 years plus of worth of labor from one group of people, and that's the American descendants of slaves, for 240 years. And then we had an additional 100 years of civil rights violations when we gained our citizenship after the Civil War. So let's go back. Look at what's happening today. It's history repeating itself again. You have the new white Hispanics. Okay, white people that speak a different language. That's all that they are. And Venezuela, oh baby, that's a racist country. Venezuela is racist. When you talk about white supremacy, Venezuela, Argentina, you done hit the Mecca. They're extremely racist in those countries. But I digress. Let's look at the situation. We got the descendants of slaves, American descendants of slaves. And where do America put the migrants that cross the border illegally? Not the we're not even going to talk about the white privilege they're receiving because they're able to break federal law and everybody think it's okay. They think it's humane for them to break federal law. Okay, so they getting white privilege there. They're allowed to come in illegally into America. And then they immediately get dumped where? The black community. The same thing that happened to our ancestors, our grandparents, the slaves. Every new immigrant class of people, mostly European, came through the black community, was set on top of the black community to drain us of whatever resources we have. And when they rose, they left us in the dirt. And so that thing is happening again today. Make no mistake, Joe Biden is impartial to the illegal immigrants from South America because they resemble white people. They speak another language. Spanish is the language from Europe, from Spain. It is a European language, Spanish. So Joe Biden and his racist Democrat Party that supported slavery, that wrote the Jim Crow laws, is doing exactly what history is dictating that they do. And one thing the Republicans, the rhinos, will not mention, none of those nasty conservatives on television will mention. Tell the migrants to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, because you certainly told the descendants of slaves who were given nothing after slavery, never given any reparation, always cheated out of their paychecks, to tell us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. America has allowed every immigrant group of people to receive free benefits, free immigrant programs, free business startup money. Everything is specifically and solely for the immigrants. But when it comes to the American descendants of slaves, the black community, oh, we got to share our resources with everybody. But black community don't have no access to none of the immigrant programs. But the immigrants got access to all of our programs. You see how that works? How nice that is for the immigrants? So Joe Biden is giving the migrants from Venezuela 500,000 work visas, even though they broke into the country illegally. So he's rewarding them immediately. He's giving them hotel rooms, 5-star hotel rooms. They're getting a full-fledged white privilege treatment. And not one mother, you know what I want to say, has opened a damn trap about their taxes. Not one pundit on the fake news mentioned about taxes. Oh, my taxes. I don't want my taxes to go for that. It's going to make my taxes go up. Where's all that conversation? Where's all of the conversation that you bring to the descendants of slaves when we demand our reparations for the 240 years of unpaid labor and the civil rights violations that occurred after that for 100 years? We have over 300 years of damage and counting. Now today you're putting the migrants on our community, a community you have never paid reparations to, and you have the audacity to tell the American descendants of slaves to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But I got a message for you conservatives and for all you people out there that want to believe that nonsense. The day America tells the immigrants to pull their nasty ass up from by their bootstraps is the day I pull myself up by the bootstraps. Because so far, standing on my side of the block, I don't see no one else pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. I see them getting food stamps. I see them getting free housing vouchers. I see them getting free medical, free dental, free prescription, and a free motherfucking education in a foreign country. That's what the hell I see. And the kids go to college for free too. I ain't seen not one immigrant, and they get a free business. I literally watched them give some guy with a turban. They gave him a free damn business. He said he testified on news, on the video, saying that he come to America with just a quarter in his pocket. And America was so giving, they gave him a free Dunkin' Donuts business, bought the land for him, bought the property fixed up the entire property, put the kitchen inside the goddamn business, and then gave this motherfucker the keys for free. And you have the nerve to tell the American descendants of slaves to pull themselves up by the bootstraps? Now I'm glad our people waking up. I'm so glad they starting to see this bull crap, because I was saying this all by myself out here. When I said none of these immigrants, they are getting financed from America. And now finally the descendants of slaves, the black community is seeing these immigrant groups, no matter what color they are, what race they are, they all got financed from America. And that's why they are economically superior to the black community. It's their country not giving them no money. Venezuela ain't giving nobody a damn dime. Neither is Argentina, Ecuador. Africa ain't giving nobody a dime. They getting all, India ain't giving nobody no money. They get all their money from America. America financed these people because they hate the descendants of slaves. And as you can see, no one in the media, no talking heads, no political pundits is there telling the illegal migrants who finished paying the cartels $10,000 a head. They had enough money to pay the cartels, but suddenly they get across the border, they're broke. No one is there telling them why don't they pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Not one person. Not one. So I wanted you guys to, understand that. And we're going to get into some of the videos that I took, the audio that I took on some of the bull crap that they've been pushing on to the black community. In Chicago's the focus, because Chicago, they setting it off. Chicago's setting it the hell off right now. Okay? So let's get into that audio. Give me 1 second. Let me see here. Okay, let's go. I just want to be clear first. To be clear, we are not upset with the individuals who are being allowed to cross the borders into America. Let me make that very clear, because people get it confused. We are, however, outraged with the government's response and our elected officials. It is disingenuous and highly disrespectful to come into neighborhoods that have suffered decades of disinvestment, redlining, poverty, and violence to tell them you're taking resources away only to give it to another group of people that you allow to cross the border illegally. How dare you put these poor people against us, especially because the very reason you claim they're here to seek asylum is the same reason and terror and injustice black people face today. Chicago is working on an issue without addressing the current issue that it has with the communities that are suffering. Absolutely right. I totally agree with the sister who spoke up outside of Chicago the other day. Absolutely right. They have not, America owes a debt. America has a debt that they owe. The American citizens, let's be real, people. The American citizens are not living well. Most American people are living paycheck to paycheck, regardless of their race. They are doing poorly in this country. And the black community as a whole, just at the very bottom. The American descendants of slaves is just at the rock bottom of everyone else. Okay? But Americans are not doing well. Living paycheck to paycheck, homelessness. How dare America open their doors to house people, have the nerve to talk about poverty and violence and people living in terror when that's going on right here in America? Just the other day in Brooklyn, a young Caucasian man got stabbed to death, okay, while trying to get home on the bus. Okay? There's violence against a little girl just got beat up, a hate crime, because she was black and they was doing some type of Mexican Day parade, and they decided to beat up an 11-year-old girl. And the list goes on and on. The American people are not doing well. American people are doing poor. And the audacity of our government and elected officials to sit there and act righteous as if America's some holy land. Get your people together first, America. Make sure your citizens, the people that you have here now, are happy. Because no one is happy. The new people ain't going to be happy neither. Right now, you're trying to give them the 5-star treatment until you sucker them into being a citizen, and then they're going to find themselves a slave just like everyone else. Okay? So, absolutely right. We have a right to protect ourselves and to protect our interests. And so we're gonna continue with another audio, and we're gonna listen to that. 1 second here. All right, young lady.
Working on an issue without addressing the current issue that it has with the communities that are suffering. And we're seeing resources fly out to help, but we're not getting that same type of support at the magnitude we're seeing now. And to expect us to foot the bill and hand over our already limited resources, public parks and school buildings that have been unjustly closed in the first place. Now you're putting a strain on our police officers and stations, obstructing their ability to do their jobs, serve our community, and our communities to go into police stations to receive services. In addition, it's inhumane to welcome people only to have them sleeping on floors in buildings and in tents that cannot withstand the wind of Chicago. Brandon Johnson ran on the promise that he would listen to our community. And in the beginning of this crisis stated that he would not re-traumatize those communities that are still suffering from the impact of school closing, redline, and violence.
Okay, holla, holla. You just heard the woman say, you have a lot of problems here. This is what I've been talking about on TJ Speaks for the longest, the hidden racism behind all of this illegal migration. There's a hidden agenda just to hurt, once again, target the descendants of American slaves. And in true American fashion, in true racist fashion, they assume the black American descendants of slaves to play the role of a slave and to work and foot the bill for some more immigrants. Our great great grandparents had to flip the bill during slavery for the white immigrants in the 1700s, 1600s, right? And now, today in 2023, their descendants, that'll be us. We got to flip the bill for some more white Spanish speaking immigrants. This is what goes on. The history, if you don't understand your history, you will be bound to repeat it. This is the hidden racism that has plagued our community for decades. The poor schools, the crowded schools. We never had a baby boom, people. American descendants of slaves, American people as a whole, never had a baby boom. Why were our schools crowded? Why was our resources stretched to the brim? All of that has been a part of the ongoing campaign against the American people, the descendants of slaves. It's an ongoing campaign. Take closing your schools down, telling you your schools are overcrowded. But you guys never had a baby boom. Matter of fact, black American descendants of slaves were pushed abortion. So where was all these people coming from? And why are we forced to finance illegal activity? They are forcing the American descendants of slaves to finance illegal activity. And we're supposed to sit down, shut up, and play the role of a slave and a servant. And it gets even deeper than that. But I'm going to continue another piece of audio where this woman is really, really insensitive and really racist, in my opinion. But this woman she takes the cake with her bull crap when she tells the Chicago concerned citizens that they are somehow, she insinuates that they are inhumane people because they don't want to be someone else's servant. All right, and then I'm going to talk about how the international world view uh people just showing up unannounced. Okay, let's go.
Let me try to understand your question. You're asking where will people go, right, when they're here? Right. So I'm gonna answer that. Okay. Guys, can we give her an opportunity to answer Ms. Matthews' question, please? So the people that we're talking about are human beings just like you. We know that. We know that. It is not us, it's them. We don't need you to tell us that. No, we don't need you. We don't need you to tell us that. The gaslight.
Wow. She said to the Chicago residents who was worried about their community, she insinuated that they feel like the other people are not humans. Who in the world do this woman, where did she get the nerve to say that to people? When they asked her a specific question, they asked her, where are the people going to go? Because we don't have resources. And her answer was, they are humans just like you. Excuse me, bitch? Did anyone call anyone else not a human? And who the hell is you to volunteer my goddamn services? As an American descendant of slaves, I'm offended. This country is always volunteering our freaking services and our resources for everybody. And I don't care where you come from. Let me tell you something. You're not better than me. You're not a better person than me. You're not more deserving than me. You're not more human than me. Okay? And America can't talk about anyone being inhumane after what you did to the descendants of slaves and our grandparents. You can't talk about no humanity because this country has never shown humanity. Otherwise, it would have paid reparations and apologized for slavery officially. So she has some nerve to tell the American descendants of slaves, if you don't want to take care of these new white immigrants, that you are somehow inhumane. To the descendants of slaves, she said this too. And you notice this is a government operation because of all of their immigrant representatives are Spanish speaking. So this illegal immigration is nefarious and is targeting a Pacific group of community in this country, right? And it's affecting a lot of other communities, but the black community is targeted. And it's also targeting a Pacific demographic that they seek to replace the citizens here. See, the American citizens are no longer acceptable to the American government. So they need to replace you with a Pacific group of people. And this is very targeted and this is very calculated and very coordinated. This is a coordinated attack. And I'm going to stand up for the American descendants of slaves community, the black community, because we have always constantly been under attack in America. So we're going to continue. I have one last clip of that retard Brandon. Who made this man mayor? The world will never know.
So going to the border is to make sure that everybody knows that my administration is committed to making sure that we are putting together the full force of government at every single level to ensure that these families, who, by the way, they're not illegal, they're asylum seekers. They are protected by international law.
So we heard Mayor Brandon talking about how he gonna get the full force of government to protect people from another country. Excuse me, Mayor Brandon, I will use another word, but Mayor Fool, since when do you have the authority to represent people from another country? I don't believe you have a contract with these people at all. And I don't believe the international asylum program supersedes the Constitution. That is not true, sir. And yes, they are illegal. Just because you rename illegal immigrants as asylum seekers doesn't mean that the act that they are committing is not illegal. Even they're actually even more in breach of the law right now. Submitting a fraudulent claim to asylum? What? If that's not illegal, wow. First you trespassed in a foreign country. Then you file a fraudulent paperwork for asylum. So you're breaking international law. You're breaking American law, federal law, and the international law because your claim is phony. If you, Brandon, Mr. Chicago Mayor, if you need to take a trip to figure out the disaster, guess what, Brandon? Guess what that means. There is no goddamn disaster. You don't need to search high and low for disasters. It'll be broadcasted on the news. You will hear from the Venezuela president talking about he can't be the president no more. He need America to step in. Do you hear the president complaining? Do you hear the international community all going down to Venezuela because something major is happening? No, it's all phony, it's all fake. And the fact that our leaders, our elected officials, representatives, need to go find the disaster tells us there is no disaster. Hey, why would you approve all of these millions of people, so called asylum seekers? Why would you even accept their application when you don't even know if there is a disaster in the first place? If you can't confirm that before you took their application, why are you accepting their application? Why? You done gave Biden done gave 500,000 visas to illegal migrants. And he don't even know what's going on in Venezuela. Now that doesn't even sound right and it doesn't add up. If you don't know what's going on, how the hell did you make a determination that they needed asylum? You see how they tell on themselves? Because they think they so goddamn smart. And someone very close to me used to say, sometimes you could be so slick, you outslick yourself. And that's what's happening in America right now. Our officials have outslicked themselves. They are admitting we giving these people asylum, but we don't even know. But we don't even know what's happening. We don't even know if there is any condition. They have no confirmation. But you done process 10 million asylum seekers. So something's not adding up. Y'all giving them welfare, food stamps, and housing, and you don't even know what's going on. You can't even confirm it's a disaster because it's phonies. Ain't no disaster. Ain't no disaster. The disaster is Joe Biden's poll numbers. That's the disaster. The Democrats' poll numbers is the disaster. There is no disaster. If you got to take an airplane trip to go to get some binoculars to go find out where the hell the emergency is, there is no goddamn emergency. The hell? Who they trying to fool, people? Who are they trying to fool? And lastly, what I want people to remember and to recognize, why isn't anyone talking about welfare reform for these refugees, asylum seekers, and migrants? You giving them a work visa. Why they need welfare? Mr. Joe Biden, Mr. Genius. If you giving all these migrants, asylum seekers, they just come here for a job. You gave them the work visa, but why you still giving them welfare too? See? They try to play everyone for a fool. But you're dealing with a much more educated people in America. And we're not born yesterday. You don't need a work visa and a welfare check at the same time. They're trying to economically undermine the poor black community once again and to give these people a stepping stone on top of our heads so we can finance their American dream. Meanwhile, they tell us to pull ourselves from the bootstraps and argue about welfare reform all day, as if we're the number one people on welfare, in which we are not. So, America, get your act together. Your country's a mess. This country's a mess. And the people that's running this country are idiots. They are stupid. The biggest and baddest thing they could do is try to sick their little nasty police on people. That's the best they can do. But they're idiots. They're idiots around the world. Nowhere in the world where any people, any society will accept another group of people just imposing themselves on you. They have no right. That's rude. That is considered an insult to assume that someone else has the capability to pay for you and to assume that someone wants to work for you. You are supposed to be offered charity, not come and demand it. This is an insult on the international level for these nasty people and our nasty representatives that work with these people to undermine their own citizens, to have the audacity to get angry because people don't want to take care of them. Who the hell are you people? Who do you people think you are? No, I don't want to take care of you, and I don't want to. I'm not apologizing. That's not my job. You can't get away with this anywhere else in the world. That's why those people leave all those other countries. They walk past all of those other countries in South America and Central America and come to America to beg because you can't get away with begging those other countries. Those other countries will look at you and slam the door in your face if you go to their country and beg them. And they want to fight you because that's an insult. That's fighting words to impose yourself and your kids on somebody else as if life is not hard for everybody. That's an insult. Those fighting words in other countries. That's why they take their little dirty, stinking, pissy ass and go across all them other countries because them other countries ain't putting up with it. They're not going to do it. They don't care where you come from. They don't care what language you speak. They're not paying for you. Period. Don't come there with your pockets broke in them other countries. They will not have it. I challenge everyone listening to this podcast. Go to these other countries. Ask them for $1. See what happens. I dare you. Go ahead. Go ask them for $1. See what happens to your request. See if they don't turn your little sorry ass around with the quickness. Anyway, that's all for TJ Speaks. You guys have a good evening. Stay safe out here and don't apologize for taking care of your family first and prioritizing your children, your grandparents, and yourself first. Take care. Peace.